I believe everyone who cares has seen the movie, but I will note, spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. If you haven't seen The Joker and want to, then stop listening now. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. I feel that this movie was truly well done, but in the end, Arthur Fleck morphed into a person that the Joker would have manipulated and controlled, rather than the genius-level homicidal maniac that is the Joker himself. I cover several points over the next few minutes that the movie should have done to make a character that we are all truly terrified of, and not one that we simply pity at the end. Number 1. Arthur's laughing. Arthur Fleck should not have a mental condition that causes him to laugh uncontrollably. Arthur should seem to find comedy in everything, and genuinely find morbid things and scenarios funny. He should smile, giggle, and laugh at seemingly inappropriate times. At first, he'd attempt to stifle that laughter, but as his mental stability breaks down further, he should begin to embrace that comedy that only he seems to find in tragic events and his own tragic life. Number 2. The immaturity of Arthur Fleck. Arthur's weird nature is definitely due to his mental instability, but the childlike voice and mannerisms should be erased. Arthur is a frustrated adult that has been forced to care for his mother alone, forced to grow up quickly and harshly due to excessive abuse and extreme poverty. His therapy sessions should give glimpses of his anger and his confusion as to why he's finding life so tragic, yet still hysterical. The vulnerability can still be there, but it should transform more to anger and his unique perspective on comedy as he experiences more and lastly kills Murray Franklin. Number 3. Arthur should have begun to embrace his love of chaos. Arthur should have still been fired for dropping the gun in the children's hospital, but an introspective moment should have been added. For example, he is dancing and performing his act as usual, but he falls into a daydream while performing the monotonous routine. Arthur pulls out the gun and fires 2 shots into the air, just to see the children and the doctors scream and run. The camera zooms into Arthur still holding the gun in the air and laughing at the chaos he has created. Flashing back to reality, Arthur is smiling bigger while performing, and the gun falls out as the movie portrays. This would add meat to the several times Arthur asked, "Why did you bring the gun to the children's hospital?" He genuinely would have to hide the elation he felt when daydreaming of the chaos he caused. The screams could even have been added for the audience to hear as he cuts off his thoughts to reply, "It's part of my act." Number 4. Arthur's insanity and vicious nature need to bubble forth. Arthur's first 3 kills should have been a mixture of his fear, his anger, and his sense of humor in the moment. Instead of his laughing condition causing the 3 men to come after him, he should have been genuinely laughing at their behavior, even laughing at his imagined brutalization of them just because. Then they should give him his opportunity. They leave the woman and begin to bother him. Arthur shouldn't be able to stop smiling and giggling because he keeps murdering the men in his head. Already angry from being fired and a lie adding to the fury, Arthur's smile keeps widening. He keeps staring happily at the men, even as they antagonize him. But before the men attack him, the movie flashes back to him brutalizing the children who first attacked him. He is smiling big and exulting in their pain and screams. It then flashes back to the present, and Arthur should attack first, pistol whipping one with his gun and shooting another in the head. Again, Arthur is smiling ridiculously big, loving the fear the other 2 are showing. He shoots the second in the head and chest, and the third man runs when the train door opens. Arthur begins a low but genuine laugh, shooting the man in the leg as he leaves the train and follows. Dancing and laughing maniacally as he chases the severely limping man, he shoots him again when the injured man begins to scream. Arthur is again laughing and smiling broadly as he stands over the man and shoots him one final time. His smile big and eyes wide, Arthur falls back to reality and realizes that he can't be seen in the area and runs away. His giggling still heard as he is running, and the picture fades away. Number 5. Arthur should break. Arthur's final breaking point was actually a good moment. When he murders his mother, it showed his anger and frustration, but a smile creeping across his face while he holds the pillow, and a laugh when she stops moving, would have really solidified the insanity he's falling into. Arthur should break. Part 2. After he finds out about his past, we should see his transformation more and more progressively. When he breaks into his imagined lover's apartment, his line, "I had a bad day," should have led to a terrifying encounter. For example, when she asked him to leave, he should stand, speed walk to her, grab her by the face, staring intensely into her horrified eyes. He restrains from screaming, but still asks, "You don't love me?" As he shakes her head, his face falters, showing intense sadness, realizing that his entire relationship with her is imagined, then breaking into a maniacal smile and scream laughing into her face because this moment is more than funny. He doesn't hurt her, but storms out of her apartment, leaving her crumpled and crying. Number 7. Arthur's Laughing, Part 2. His practice of his suicide should be followed by genuine bouts of laughter every time he tells his final joke. His laughing should be heard again as the scene fades away. Arthur's haunting laughter ending scene should be a recurring theme of this movie. His laughter should grow continuously more uncontrolled and trend more towards the well-known screaming laughter that is so terrifying. Number 8. Gary should have died. Gary should not have survived the encounter with Arthur. What would have been a truly terrifying moment would have been Arthur saying, "Get out of here!" Gary gets to the door and can't reach the lock. While jumping for the lock, you hear a low laugh building, and the camera pans to show the silhouette of Arthur cackling at the hilarity of the situation and holding the bloody scissors, walking towards Gary. The scene should end with Arthur laughing while either murdering Gary or fading out and leaving Gary's death to the imagination. Number 9. The final joke. In Arthur's final joke, we see several times the push to transform from Arthur to the Joker. For example, when he asks to be called the Joker, his slow and haunting poses prior to him being introduced on the show, and when he turns the page on his own suicide and decides to do something different. This is all beautiful imagery of his transformation, but his words don't match his attempt to transform. His delivery of his drunk driving joke seemed more like it was coming from a child, when it should be a morbid joke from an adult that no one seems to understand. That would lead to the more serious monologue in which he admits to murdering the 3 men. This monologue was riddled with the notion, "I am a victim of an awful society. Isn't that sad?" When Joker's words really should hint to, "I am a reflection of an awful society. Isn't that funny?" His final monologue should have sounded less like he was whining about society and more laughing at the joke of society's fickle morality. His anger with the world and the hilarity of society's hypocrisy should have solidified and caused his revision of the final joke. Lastly, on his revised final joke, he should refer to himself as the Joker. What do you get when you cross the Joker? Not a mentally ill loner. He's past that. You get what you fucking deserve. These changes would have made Arthur Fleck the terrifying and murderous character that we know as the Joker, not the pitiful victim that just wanted people to be nice to him. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you believe this was a good portrayal?